Welcome to This Is Why You Matter Now. Discover your marketing timing advantage using the Macro Trend Explorer. It is my pleasure to be with you today. I am your host, Coco Selman, five-time founder, impact investor, and creator of the Force for Good system. And I'm honored to support you on your journey to building a high impact, high growth enterprise. So, as we get started today, I'd like to invite you to consider, are you 100% clear about why the world needs your company and your solutions, both now and in the future? Are you pouring your energy into growth strategies that once worked, but no longer are delivering? And do customers see your offering as top priority right now? And if they are, they're probably itching to have your solutions. So often we grow our plan to scale in a vacuum without anchoring into the world's shifting landscape. So, are you too focused on the now and missing the forces shaping the future customers? Is your team unsure why your work matters now in this particular economic, political environment, industrial environment? Are you tapped into the forces shaping the future of your customers? Is your team unsure of why your work really matters and able to leverage their actions daily to sort of support that? Could your company's impact multiply if you aligned with powerful cultural, economic, or industry shifts? And the answer to that is probably yes, you really can if you're aware of them and you frame the growth of your company in service of that. So these questions are designed to unsettle and awaken you to the possibilities of aligning your business with the macro trends happening all the time in the world, and they're always shifting and changing. Most founders, especially with teams of less than 100, really, less than 500 really, are so deep in the day-to-day that they lose sight of the bigger forces at play. So today we zoom out to see the landscape and then invite you to realign your business to move forward in a more strategic and inspiring way. Okay, so today's focus is around macro trends. So within every masterclass, we focus on a specific core growth element. And today, that core growth element within the Force for Good system is macro trends. And so each one of the core growth elements is one of these elements in the flywheel, the growth flywheel. And every time we place attention and focus on one of those, we see opportunities, not just in the one area, but throughout how we can serve our customers better. So today we're going to use a specific tool called the Macro Trends Explorer, and you can download that for free this week at a forceforgood.biz/weekly tool, weekly-tool. Let me say that again, a forceforgood.biz/weekly-tool. And you can also always have access to all of the tools when you buy A Force for Good, the book. And it's part of the Force for Good toolkit. So download the Macro Trends Explorer when you have a moment. Right now would be great. And then we'll use that today as we walk through and identify what the top macro trends are that are supporting the reason why your business exists and why your customers need your solutions urgently to meet those market pressures. So macro trends, what are they? Macro trends are the overarching patterns or changes in the broader environment that impact multiple industries and markets. Some are broad, like what's the jobs report, right? Or what's the economy doing, or what's the interest rates? And some are more narrowly focused on your industry, changes in my healthcare industry related to regulations or nursing shortages. But these are the bigger trends that are outside the walls of your company. And why you need to be thinking about these macro trends is first, it shapes the way your customers think. It shapes their preferences. It affects where they identify opportunity and risk. Second, it shifts market dynamics. So things are going to be changing with your competitors, and things are going to be changing where others are going to start to meet those demands or meet the risks. And so it's important for you to know what other companies are going to be focused on and building. It also changes the actual opportunities for business. So today we're talking about macro trends, but there's also another related topic, which are triggers, the triggers that behavior triggers, and we'll talk about that in a separate masterclass. But when the macro trends shift, it changes the behaviors of when your customer feels triggered. So we want to know what those different macro trends are and how it creates new fields of business opportunity. So that's what we want to be focused on today. It also can be reframing your marketing language so that the solutions you already offer become more relevant and more important. So why you need macro trends, why you need to know what they are, why you as the founder, along with your leadership team, anybody on your marketing team, anybody in your customer support circle, anybody in your company to some level, it helps for them to know what your macro trends are. So your market is never static, right? There's things happening all the time. Macro trends signal tailwinds that could boost you forward and headwinds. So like AI, right, is a tailwind and a headwind. But for many companies, it became an opportunity. They saw it as something, now I can go in and use this to introduce new products, to lower the costs of being able to serve my customers. So like it's a tailwind. Sometimes it's also a headwind, right? So tariffs, for example, for a lot of companies, it's become a headwind. So your macro trends also explain why your company matters right now in what's going on. And so that's really the question. Why does my company matter now in the frame of what's happening and what's being talked about, but what's happening over dinner conversations with families as well as with colleagues? It also helps you align your business to the relevance, resonance, and readiness of what's happening in the world. It reveals the unmet needs of your customers as well. It helps to see, what are they stressed about? What are they worried about? What are they, oh my gosh, they feel they need to do something because now there's this new opportunity and they want to take part. There's a fear of being missed out, right? So you want to make sure you think about how your company can help solve for those problems and needs for your customer, and start to share that, right? See how you can share with your customers. So when you tune into what's changing, you amplify what's possible. So that's what we want to look at here. Sometimes we think that macro trends, even if they're negative, are just negative. I invite you to look at them as opportunities for positioning, growth, getting in front of things, managing risk. So a really important piece. And as you become a more and more seasoned CEO, macro trends become more and more what you talk about, what you think about, because they help you navigate your ship. If you're never thinking about them, that's a great place to start to elevate yourself as a leader by thinking about your macro trends. So some examples to give you context. So there's a great company called Energize, founded by Katie Trouth Taylor, and this company is actually under one of the funds I invest in, How and Invest. And I love this company. It's AI for science and policy communication. It's a really smart, unique AI platform, and it is meeting a trend in the larger environment where the rise of AI in content creation and specifically in scientific research. And they have a very special mechanism in place to create AI-driven storytelling for science, medicine, and public policy. So it helps those institutions translate very thick, complex findings into human-centered narratives. So this is a very specific platform, and they're leveraging all the trends that are happening. Narratize is a great example. Thinks, another example, is a sustainable personal care and feminine hygiene company. And it was founded by Nikki Agrawal. And the macro trends that she's been focused on, the company has, is this sustainability and eco-conscious consumerism in personal care. And her solution is a reusable, leak-proof menstrual underwear that replaces disposable hygiene products, reducing waste and promoting circular product use. So great product, growing very quickly, and it's doing really well in the market. Modern Fertility is a company founded by Afton Vetchery. It's a femtech reproductive health solution, and the macro trend has been growth of at-home diagnostics and personalized health insights. So this has become really big, and so the solution that they're offering is at-home fertility hormone test kits and digital tools that empower women to understand and plan for their reproductive health. So see how this trend out there, this feeding need for people to be able to test themselves at home, and they're reaching in and dealing with one particular issue. Eileen Fisher is a brand, of course, that's been around for a really, really long time. Ethical fashion and apparel. And talk about a company and a leader, Eileen Fisher, that has watched and participated in the macro trends that have been growing over time in this area. So macro trend is that circular fashion and ethical production practices, which they've been doing forever. And their aligned solution has been use of organic and recycled materials, plus a clothing take-back program that supports garment recycling, resale, and minimizing fashion waste. So these are examples of how companies are noticing what's happening in the macro world, and then they're creating a solution that really meets their customers' need. And the trend is actually proving that their solution, their product, their service is actually what's really important and urgently needed by their customers. So all of this is going to fit this idea of your macro trends. They're going to sit within the context of your full growth plan, which sits on the 4-page growth plan. And it's really on page 1, you're going to find the trends and triggers. So the macro trends is going to fit in this box right here. And so this is in the context of knowing who you serve. So the 4-page plan has 3 parts. Know your purpose, which is covered at the first page, and know who you serve is on the first and second page, and then knowing your impact plan is the last 2 pages. And so this why, this section of macro trends, and it helps to articulate why your customer needs you. And it's in the service of knowing who your customer is and why they need you and who you serve. So let's go ahead and look at the Macro Trends Explorer. There are 3 parts to it. You're going to explore the trends of your industry, and then you're going to look at how your business serves those trends, and then you're going to identify your 3 or so core reasons why your company is needed in the context of those macro trends. All right, you ready? Let's do it. Okay, so the first section, Exploring Macro Trends, you'll find within the Macro Trends Explorer, and it invites you to spend some time and do a little research. I like to use chat or some other AI device to help with that. So just recognize that this role of looking at macro trends is really a big part of your job as a founder. So your job is not just to respond, but to anticipate. And macro trends are the signals that show you where the world and your customers are headed. So we're going to break it down into these different areas and invite you to start looking for specific trends that are happening. So this is inviting you to step outside the walls of your company and into the broader world shaping your industry. Think of this as a strategic pause, a chance to look up, tune in, and gather insights that will help you lead with foresight, not just hindsight. So we're going to walk through these 10 proven ways to research macro trends. And as we go, you can start to think about what comes up for you, jot down some ideas, and you can put them right on the Macro Trends Explorer itself, or you can put them, in a notebook or somewhere in a Slack column, perhaps. But we're going to start to get your ideas going. And I highly recommend that after our session today, you set a timer for 15 minutes and give yourself permission to go out, do some deep research on these topics that we're going to talk about, and see what data you can pull up, what you can find in terms of macro trends. I think you'll find it to be exciting to explore these ideas. So let's walk through these 10 approaches. The first is market research. So start with the basics. What are the numbers telling us? Look at consumer behavior shifts, growth forecasts, regulatory headlines, emerging competitors. So if you're in health tech, for example, what's changing and how people seek care, what they demand, and who's funding what. So this is all stuff you might know off the top of your head that you can write down. It's also stuff that you can put into chat or Google and ask for this information. Second place you can look is industry reports. Check out credible sources like McKinsey, Deloitte, PitchBook, or whatever your industry association might be. These places are gold mines. Look for trend forecast, tech disruptions, and changing customer values as you're searching through these reports. What's becoming more and more important to your customer? What's happening with technology that's framing their situation, whether it directly impacts your sale or it indirectly does? The next thing you can do is you can really start to do some networking and talking with the people who are in your industry. Conversations reveal what reports cannot. What are your peers seeing on the ground? What are investors in the space talking about? What trends are founders buzzing about at conferences or in your mastermind groups? So you can look and see, like, what are the conferences happening in your industry and what are their titles and what are the main topics they're covering? These are things that can help you identify what's going on and what's coming as well. Media monitoring. This is a great way. Set alerts or follow specific blogs or newsletters, journals, podcasts. Pay attention to what's getting coverage in your industry, what's being debated or spotlighted in your field. What are the innovators winning? Like, look for the the winning innovators of last year to see what happened that they innovated in, what were they doing that was new or different. Also look at customer feedback. Your customers are trend forecasters in disguise. So what new needs are they expressing? What frustrations are showing up more often? So if you haven't done a voice of customer check-in lately, this is the opportunity. This is a precious nudge to invite you to check in with your customers and get their feedback. What's happening? Competitive analysis. This is a really important piece. And oftentimes people think of competitive analysis to become defensive. I like to think of it as to become opportunistic and to become wise in your field, aware of risks, not of what others are doing, but what's happening in the bigger picture. What are others in your space adapting to? What are their new releases that are coming out? What new needs are they expressing and talking about for your customers? What frustrations are showing up more often? What are they talking about? What shifts in messaging are they taking? What new hires are they making? What partnerships are they announcing? Or pricing models? What's happening with their price? These are all clues to the external forces that are at play. Technology scanning, very important. Even if you're not in tech, tech is in you. What's automating? What's integrating? What's innovating around your industry? Which emerging platforms or tools could redefine your delivery model? Look at the economic indicators. Zoom out even further. How's the economy affecting your customers' spending, your team's costs, or your pricing power? Tariffs, interest rates, labor surpluses or shortages, they all shape your strategic decisions. And what's your regulatory environment like? What are the laws and policy shifts? These are very important. Everybody has employees, so the labor laws are always happening. Are there new certifications, funding programs, or legal requirements reshaping your space? Are any upcoming bills happening at your state level or national level that could be affecting your company in some way? Think about the thought leadership environment. So don't underestimate the wisdom shared online in your industry. Who do you follow? Who always seems to be one step ahead? What are the top thinkers in your industry? And what are they excited about? What are they concerned about? So staying in touch with that thought leadership is a really good idea. So I invite you to really unload and write down right now, what are some of those areas that you can think of that are happening and affecting your company? Write them down and also think about which questions you most want to explore further. So if you want to look at market research or networking or technology scanning or competitive analysis, pick 2 or 3 of these areas that you want to spend some time with later today. Take 15 minutes and go a little deeper. So awesome. You've already started to move some ideas around. I know you're already thinking of some trends. So now we're going to go to the next piece of this, which is where you look at how your business serves those trends. And so we're going to ask 4 questions. And in these questions, I'm going to give you some examples of how my former company, Illume, how my current company, Force for Good, and then how like a generic SaaS company and a generic women's health company might think about these things. And it'll give you ideas and context, and it will give you answers that you can write down on your own plan. So which trends does your business align with? Okay, what trends does your business align with? So at Illume, it was that there was a growing need for home-based pediatric care. It was a massive need. There was kids not coming home from the hospital. For Force for Good, there's a huge uptick in values-aligned business growth. For SaaS, it's that need for workforce automation. More and more workforce automation is seen everywhere. Women's health is that there's this femtech revolution happening right now. So which trends are aligned with your business, and which trends does your business align with? That's the first question. The next question is, which negative trends are you helping solve? So Illume, one of the big trends that we always focused on was the nursing shortage, not enough nursing. So we focused on being really good at hiring and retaining nurses. And that's how we became aligned with the opportunity, the negative trend that that all these families need nurses. For Force for Good, there's a lack of real scale tools for women founders and women leaders. And so that's an area. For SaaS, it's that just overall SaaS fatigue, right? There's platform fragmentation. And so you could be the company that makes it easier to integrate or to not have so many different tools that are running. In women's health, it's the undertreatment of menopause. So it's come out as a big trend that menopause is like been shuffled under the rug for all these years, and nobody's been talking about it. It's been now suddenly everybody's talking about it. So a company could use this opportunity, this trend of undertreatment of menopause, to really move forward and help serve it. The third question is, which positive trends signal a growing customer base? All right. So what's showing you more customers are coming? So at Illume, there was a demographic need for complex home care. More and more children are becoming complex because we have all these medical ways to take care of kids that are keeping them alive even when they're very fragile. So they need the support and service of care at home, even though they still, they're making it through things that they wouldn't have otherwise. So there's that positive trend for growth. For Force for Good, there's this rise in attention for women-led businesses. The lack of equity in funding, the lack of equity at the top, a lack of equity in women's voices being heard. So that is a trend that a Force for Good is meeting and supporting. More women wanting to be doing business with women. SaaS, more and more remote teams needing better business tools is an opportunity. Women's health, new openness about hormone health, right? So there's the opportunity to go into hormonal health because now there's more people thinking about it and interested in about it and wanting to try it out. Next question, fourth question here is, which trends confirm your unique positioning? All right. So for Illume, we were mostly Medicaid paid family integrated care. So being able to identify that there was growing Medicaid. We had more across the country during the pandemic. Medicaid rates for complex care actually went up where everybody else has stayed the same. Now it's changing because they're redoing Medicaid, but for a while it was Medicaid paid, family integrated care. Force for Good, founder built systems, operating systems, and female focus. This is one of the main reasons why Force for Good is growing is because it's based on an actual founder who's done who's done several businesses and grown to scale and exit. And there's a particular focus on women and how we lead in our community. There's for SaaS, it could be a unified platform with plug and play AI. For women in health, it could be lifespan focused diagnostic ecosystem. So You decide what how trends confirm your unique positioning. So again, the questions are: which trends does your business align with? Which negative trends are you helping to solve? Which positive trends signal a growing customer base? And which trends confirm your unique positioning? Okay, and now we are going to go ahead and go for it. This is where you identify your core reasons why, your macro trends that are explaining to yourself and to the world and to your team why your business is urgently needed now and in the future. So go ahead on your Macro Trends Explorer, write down the 3 to 5 most powerful macro trends that validate the need for your business. 3 is better than 5, but if you can't decide and you've got 5, write them down. But there's probably 3 that really are driving how you can be the solution of urgent need. Which 3 do you want to pick? And maybe there's only one, right? It's okay. You pick as few as you can that are really valid and help articulate why your company is urgently needed by your customers. And then start to tell the story through those needs, right? So let me give you some examples again. We go back to the ones we've been talking about and give you, some macro trends that we picked out. So for Illume, home care demand on the rise, Medicaid reform, pediatric nursing shortage, and an aging population. Those trends validated the need for Illume. For a force for good, a rise of women founders, more and more values-based investing, a higher demand for founder-led thought leadership gives us a place within the market to be important. For a SaaS company, the trends are AI adoption, the subscription economy, and cross-functional automation. For retail, this is for femtech retail, femtech funding surge is totally happening right now, cultural shift in hormone health, and DTC diagnostic growth. So these are all ways to look at your market and the three to 5, mostly 3 macro trends that really support you. So macro trends describe why your company matters now and why it will matter even more tomorrow. Good stuff. Okay, so pause for a moment to acknowledge your wisdom. All right, so each founder is wise, and it's important. Each team member is wise. It's important as a founder to take a moment to disconnect from your head and move fully into your heart and soul and your body and acknowledge the wisdom, not just the information that you just gathered. Okay, so you discovered patterns driving change in your industry. You clarified how your company fits into the bigger picture. You've aligned your strategy with what the world wants and needs. You've begun rewriting your story as a timely and transformational business, and you've identified the macro forces that make your company inevitable, urgent, necessary. So go ahead and update your 4-page growth plan. You're going to put in here your macro trends. I'd put 3 down, 3 simple macro trends in there. And just notice that on your 4-page plan, when you put something new in, just notice how it fits in everywhere else and how it can sort of validate what else is in your 4-page plan. And maybe it'll start to see you needing to make some adjustments in something about, the 3 feelings you want to cultivate, which we haven't gotten to in our Masterclass series yet, but like who they are, what they need, your total available market, your serviceable addressable market, like which things could be seen differently now that you know about macro trends. All right, and now let's go ahead and put this wisdom into action. We do it in 2 ways. First, we think about a ritual or habit that you can implement, and the second is one action. Okay? It's a specific one action to move things forward. So What are high leverage habits? They're repetitive habits or rituals that, when practiced, almost guarantee breakthrough results. Okay. So shifting momentum. So think about this. What's one new weekly repeatable habit that could help you keep your finger on the pulse of macro trends? What could be that one repeatable habit? So I'll give you some ideas. A weekly 15-minute trends scan with your leadership team. What are people seeing and hearing, right? Ask that question. Invite them to ask. And maybe they then will do some of these other things. Maybe they'll start um, asking their customers for information, or identifying an industry newsletter that they could read and think about every week. Another thing you can do is you can have a monthly customer trend roundup. So shared with your full team. So you're talking about your customer trends, what you notice when you are out in the field and your team is out in the field, asking your customers, what are you noticing in the market right now? What are you seeing? And then coming back with that information. Save and tag articles weekly and then put them in your Slack channel, right? So what are the things you're seeing? So what if every week you put one article in and you tag it for everybody in your team to read, or your marketing team and your leadership team? You could also schedule quarterly chats with 3 customers about their evolving needs. So if everybody's having these sort of regular conversations, maybe you, the founder, or you're the head of marketing, could have 3 deliberate, intentional conversations with them about what they're seeing. You could create a monthly what's changing dashboard slide where you talk about what's happening in the market. You see what's really in flux. You could identify one industry newsletter, maybe more than one, but one's a good place to start for you and your leadership to read weekly, where it becomes like, okay, everybody's going to read this. It's a newsletter. It comes out every Thursday, and we're all going to read it. And then when we have our weekly leadership team meeting, we're going to take 5 minutes or 15 minutes and talk about what we learned. So these are habits to help you think more consistently about the macro trends. You can also identify one high potency action. So again, this is an action that will be potent. It will have reverberating positive effects in your company. One bold move that accelerates impact. And when it comes to high potency action and macro trends, this information, getting to know a trend that's happening and putting it into place and using it in part of your narrative can make a big difference. So maybe you rewrite or elevate your homepage messaging or whatever collateral you have out in the world to align with that key trend, or start, even like today, get a social media campaign going around that trend. Create a one-pager showing how your solution supports a major industry shift. Write an article about it, put it on the blog, put it out on LinkedIn. Pitch your story to a podcast or a publication that's on that trend. That's something else you can do. Reach out to a brand aligned with a similar trend and do some co-marketing. That's a big step you could do together. You could update your investor decks with trend-based market validation. Yeah, whenever I receive information, I always update my pitch decks. I didn't take a lot of money in, but I did have a SBA loan with Illume, and that I would just go back into my deck whenever I got new industry trends and put it back in there, so that the next time I needed to meet with my banker, I would have the latest and greatest industry trends available to me. So those are some high potency actions that you can put in place. Today, we did a lot. We defined one of the core growth elements. Each core growth element helps you foster and accelerate growth, impact, scale, and profit in your business. Today, we talked about macro trends. So writing down 3 macro trends. And we learned about how to use the Macro Trends Explorer, so you can always come back to that as a great list of 10 different places to look for macro trends. And you integrated them into your 4-page growth plan, which is starting to really fill out now. You've been going through one core growth element at a time in each masterclass, and you're starting to hopefully see how the pieces coming together and putting them back into your team and on a weekly basis with your team huddles and your in your weekly meetings is really helping you start to talk differently and think differently about your role as a founder and how you run and lead your business. You've identified a high leverage habit to put into action, and you've committed to a single high potency action to get the ideas of your macro trends into the business and helping you grow. And next, I invite you to continue on with us in our journey. Be sure to sign up for the Force for Good tool of the week at forceforgood.biz/weekly-tool. Every week we launch a new tool and masterclass, and it is free for a week, and you can have access to it that way. And then you get the recordings and the links just simply by signing up. The next thing I invite you to do is, actually, where is it? Tool of the week. Did we miss the book? Where's the book? Here's the book. You can also, I highly recommend you get a copy of the book. And it's not just because I'm selling it. It's a very low price. It is designed to help you have everything you need in one single place. So when you buy this book, you will get not just the book with all the pieces and parts and explains what each core growth element is, but it also includes the Force for Good toolkit, which has like a lot of tools in it. It has templates, assessments, and tools that can help you. So like if you're stuck in one area of your business, you can use one of the tools and it can really help you foster growth. There's instructions for each tool, and you get the whole system for the price of a book. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it in all the places that you would buy a book. It's available as an ebook, as a printed book, and as an audible book. And then the last thing I would invite you to consider is the Growth Accelerator. And this is where I've put together a system that helps you implement the full Force for Good system in a confined set of exercises. So through 12 modules, it will help you implement the full Force for Good system. And so the system is not just something you sort of do the worksheets and are done, but rather it's a system for how you operate your company and how you work with your team so that they become really, really high performing, high purpose, high impact team leaders and participants. So it will help you install the system, and it will help you to step back as a leader and run your company like a CEO and less like the person you were when you started the company and you needed to wear 27 hats. It will help you continuously grow yourself as a leader and your team. It has videos, tools, and assessments. You can do it alone or with your team. The price includes space for you to include your team. So it's tiered pricing. It starts at $599 and then it works up from there, depending on how much support you want. So you can get that at a forceforgood.biz/accelerator. So I thank you for spending this time with me today and being a part of the Force for Good journey and creating businesses that flourish both within the business and for your team and for your customers, but also for you as a leader and as a founder, right? The opportunity for you to create positive, virtuous prosperity is what's available to you through the Force for Good system. The world is made better by women-led business. So let's all go make the world a better place. Thank you for being here.